Here we go, back into the Tanya. We're in the first parak of the Heilige Tanya. In summary, essentially what we're doing is we're trying to find our identity. Who am I? What should be my inner self-talk? What should be the way that I look at myself? What should be the way that I think about who I am? And really we're asking the question of who am I in a profound way? Am I a body? Am I a soul? Am I something in between? Really, what am I? Who am I? Sometimes I feel excited about Hashem. Sometimes I feel excited about other things. So, what's going on? It's kind of a kasha. I don't know. Sometimes I'm excited about coming to chakras, and sometimes the last thing I want to do is come to chakras. Sometimes I'm excited about helping another person. Other times I'm only concerned about, getting some Pringles and just watching Mahomes, or whatever it might be. So there's like this battle inside of me. And we're trying to understand who we really are. The Tanya, to make it very simple, is a blueprint of our spiritual anatomy to understand who am I. It's the biology of my inner world. And it's a very systematic, logical approach to understanding your inner self. It's used by great psychologists and therapists in understanding human behavior and how we think and how we look at ourselves and really who we are. And we asked a number of questions, and there's previous shiurim on this. And then we got to the point where the Baal Tanya explained that there's really 5 types of people. There's a tzaddik who has it good, there's a tzaddik who has it bad, there's a rasha that has it good, a rasha that has it bad, and a beinoni. In translation, a righteous person that has good to him, a righteous person that has bad to him, a wicked person that has good to him, a wicked person that has bad to him, and a beinoni, some type of in-between person. And we explained on a simple level what that means is there's such a thing called a tzaddik, who's a righteous person who's completely perfect. What that means is that he did nothing wrong, ever, and therefore not only in the world to come is he going to have ultimate bliss, even in this world he's going to be rewarded with tremendous bliss. He has both this world and the world to come. Then there's a tzaddik, a righteous person who's not 100% righteous, just 51% and up. And of course he's going to have bliss in the world to come, but in this world he's going to have hardships. Why is he going to have hardships? Because for that, whatever that amount that he's still not doing what he should be doing, so instead of getting paid off in the world to come, which is more challenging, don't leave anything for the world to come. I'm begging you guys, please. Don't leave any unfinished business. You should know one of the things that we're supposed to do, we should all live until 120, is that it's a known thing. The Gemara talks about it. When a person was getting ready to make the transition to the next world, one of the things that the people are known to do is they have to finish business stuff. They deal with do I owe anybody anything? Is there any else unpaid debts? It's how you finish up stuff. There was someone that I knew that right before he was going to pass on, he hadn't spoken to this person in a long time. He said, you should just know that you actually owe me a bunch of money. And I hadn't heard from him in years. He was a Rosh Yeshiva. And he said, can you come and pay back the loan? Paid back, and shortly thereafter, the person passed away, who the loan was owed to, because he knew he had to wrap things up. So you want to deal with things in this world and not have to wait till the world to come. And Hashem is very patient. He gives us Yom Kippur. He gives us tshuva to return to Hashem. He gives us Torah, which helps us to return. He gives us an ability to meditate and think and reflect on my actions. And he gives us a lot of signs along the way. The problem is we don't usually pay attention to the signs. We kind of see blatantly obvious signs staring in our face, and we don't really realize that Hashem is talking to us and trying to tell us to maybe shift the course of our life in a certain way. And we have to be sensitive to these signs. So the tzaddik The righteous person who has it difficult. Hashem is paying him off in this world. Let's deal with all the difficulty. And that really, if you meditate on this deeply, begins to address the question of why do bad things happen to good people. And the answer is that those good people are going to receive good for all eternity. But they also had other things in their life that weren't exactly perfect. And therefore Hashem is paying those things off now, so that when they get to the world to come, they don't have to deal with that. Isn't that beautiful? It makes it much... we never understand really Hashem's plan. But this idea begins to open up a world of relating a little bit to maybe why challenges happen that we don't always understand, is because Hashem is working with a two-world system. This world and the world to come. And after 6,000 years, we'll talk about this in other shiurim, we're going to transition out of this world. This world is going to go to an entirely different reality. And in that reality is going to be the reality of getting paid for all the good we've done over the course of our life. And more accurately, we're going to receive the reward for the person we became through us going through this world. And the difficulties that a good person goes through is just cleansing him now, as opposed to going through it later, which is much more embarrassing. Up there in heaven, all the other people see what happens, and it's very embarrassing. And the wicked person, this is our category number 3, who has it good. That doesn't seem to be so hard to understand. We see all these people that seem to be other than the most pleasant individuals, but they have money and riches and cars and mansions and all that good stuff. And you're thinking, like, this guy is anti-Semitic. He's just mean. I was talking to my wife. There was somebody that she knew growing up, like a superstar. And she said, I saw him one time. And he was so mean. It was so funny. I always thought it was so sad. As a kid, we used to idolize like baseball players and stuff. So it was always so sad. It was always the biggest thing when you could go and they were doing like sign balls at some event or something. So you get this little kid, like this 11-year-old kid like me, who's just going, like, wait his whole life to see like this, shortstop. And you get there and you think he's gonna be like an angelic person. And he was just, I remember meeting this one, I don't want to say his name. He was so rude to me. I felt like my whole life was shattered. But he's got all the money and all the mansions and all the good stuff. So why does Hashem do that? The answer is because that person also did good things. And therefore Hashem is going to pay him off. All the good that you did, let's pay it off here. Let's pay it off in mansions and cars and yes. Yeah.
I'm sure we can all think of someone who has, stuff, who has things, and they're like good people, and we would be, fairly sure that they're at least 51% good. So how do we explain people that have things and are, to our knowledge, good people?
So, first of all, we never know what's really going on under the surface. Only Hashem knows that. And when we talk about it, we're going to see 51% is going to be a very specific usage of that term of basically how somebody gets judged. For example, in a court case, when judges judge a person, do they have an even number of judges in the court or an odd number of judges? Why is that?
So they can reach a majority.
So you have a majority. The way that the judicial system generally works, and it works that way upstairs, I don't mean the second floor, I mean upstairs, is that majority exonerates. Majority exonerates you. So that 51% exonerates you. We're going to talk about this in the next page. But one example of that would be, let's say you've got two people, and Reuven and Shimon. And Reuven slams his Bugatti, it's a car, right? Fast one. Bugatti into Shimon's Lamborghini. So Shimon's like, Reuven, you owe me. You slammed it. He's like, no, you were coming into my lane. So they go to Beis Din, they go to court. And they both bring their claims. And then the judges have to deliberate. Now, what will make Ruvain the winner or the loser? Whoever has what? The majority of the evidence in their favor. Do they need entire evidence in their favor? No. The majority evidence in their favor, or majority votes from the judges, will make him the winner. Does that tell me anything about what kind of a person he is? No, it just means in this situation, you won the case. And we're going to see that that's what 51% is referring to, is winning the case. But as far as the idea of a tzaddik, a righteous person, it seems that it's somebody who does good. And many people are righteous. But Hashem is also paying them off potentially for things that they could have gotten in the world to come. If they get, that's why the Gemara says that one of the Amoraim was talking to his wife, and they didn't have much money. And he said that they took a leg from the table. And they said, we need some money. And Hashem brought down a golden leg. And she says, give it back. Give it back. He's like, well, we have money now. I don't want to take from what's coming to us. Now, you would think like, golden leg? Hey, you should buy gold anyways. Gold's great to have, especially nowadays. So, no. I want the real gold up there. Send it back. We get so caught up in the stuff here, we don't realize that sometimes it could be taking away from what's coming to us. And that's why Rebbe, the Gemara says that Rebbe, you know who Rebbe was? Rebbe Yehuda HaNasi. Judah the prophet, Judah the how do they say Nasi? Judah the prince. Rebbe Yehuda the prince. So he was exceedingly wealthy. It said he never lacked any food on his table. Even in the summer months and the winter months, he had all sorts of exotic melons and lettuces, things that only very rich people had. And on his deathbed, he held up his little finger and he said, I never even derived one little bit of pleasure from this world. Not even a tiny. What do you mean? Your table was laden with the most wonderful things. What that means is he never took more than he needed. Being the prince, it was fitting for him to have nice things. It's fitting. It's fitting for the president to live in the White House. It's fitting for someone of stature to live in a certain way. But are you using it for what's fitting, or are you taking extra that you don't need? This is a question that we always have to think about. Am I using up stuff here that I don't really need? And that might make, we don't want to make problems with what's going to happen after this. So the Rasha, the wicked person that has it good, Hashem says, let me give you, I'll pay you back all the good. I'm going to pay off in this world. It's basically non-existent, but then there's the wicked person who has it bad. And that is a person who basically has bad all over, and that basically doesn't exist. Now, that's the simple understanding, and I want to take it one step deeper. The Baal Tanya is going to explain now, what about the same idea, these 5 categories of people, based on the teachings of the Zohar. So everything about the Zohar takes the idea, takes the Torah, and tells you, you think the Torah is just things happening outside of you? The entire Torah is happening inside of your heart. That's the idea of the Zohar. The Zohar says the Torah is inside of your heart. So let's take these same ideas and let's show how is this occurring inside of me right now. And then use that as a template to understand how I function and to understand how my soul works. And like we mentioned on day 1, this is the tale of 2 souls. The entire Tanya is going to teach us that you don't have only one soul, you have 2 souls. And those 2 souls, one is called the godly soul, and one is called the animal soul. They're constantly in this dance for control. So let's look inside the Zohar. Says, if you open your Tanya, it's on the first page. It says, Uberai Nehemna. And it says in the Rai Nehemna, the Rai Nehemna is a section of the Zohar. The Rai Nehemna literally means the faithful shepherd. It's referring to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Moses. What that means is that Moses had a reincarnation inside of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. If that's a little bit Kabbalistic, it's because it is. and he reincarnated his soul inside of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar. The reason he did so is because Moshe revealed the revealed Torah. Moshe didn't reveal the entire secret Torah. And because the entire Torah is the Torah of Moshe, of Moses, he reincarnated inside of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to complete that portion of the hidden Torah. So that part of the Zohar where Moshe Rabbeinu is literally speaking through Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is called Raya Behemna. So here on the first page, it says Hey at the top. Perish, Parshas Mishpatim. In the chapter of Mishpatim, in the Zohar, explains like this: Perish, Tzadik v'Ra, a righteous person that has wicked to him. Pay attention closely to the words. Look inside the words. Shehara shebo, the ra that's in him. Listen to the words. Tzadik v'Ra. The tzadik that has ra. What's lo mean? Lamed Vav, not Lamed Av, lo, Tzadik v'Ra lo, to him, okay? Tzadik, he's a Tzadik, v'Ra, and he has Ra, but what's the Ra? Loy. It's his. He owns it. He mastered the Ra. He controls the Ra. He pinned the Ra down. He McGregor the Ra. He Habib the Ra. He Mamish is messing that. The Ra has got nothing. Mamish. That Ra is pinned down with nothing to talk about. That Ra is gone. It's not gone. It's like it's gone because Loy, he owns that Ra. Shehara shebo, that the Ra inside of him, kafuf latov. Kafuf, what does kafuf mean? It's subjugated. It's owned. He owns that Ra. Is there Ra there? Yes. There is Ra inside of him. He's talking about in his inner universe now. If I were to take a spaceship, wasn't there such a movie like that? Like they took like a bus, magic school bus, and they went like inside of people and did stuff.
TV show.
What's it called?
Magic School Bus.
The magic school bus. So imagine you could magic school bus yourself inside of your soul anatomy. You would see in the tzaddik v'Ra, you would see the tzaddik that he has a Ra there, but it's pinned down. It has no actual force. Okay, so then what's the difference between the tzaddik v'Ra lo and the tzaddik v'tov lo?
Because the tzaddik v'tov doesn't have Ra.
Okay, excellent. That's true. I like to use the following analogy. Imagine you have a king. By the way, your godly soul is compared to a good king, and your animal soul is compared to an old, foolish king who's wicked. Both kings are vying for the kingdom. What's the kingdom? You. Each one wants full domination over you. So, the good king, I'm going to tell you what it looks like inside the tzaddik v'Ra lo. Inside the tzaddik v'Ra lo, the good king, the king of meaning, of compassion, of value, of intimacy, of connection, of love, of real making a difference in the world, the good king has taken over, has won the war, and he took the evil king, the evil old foolish king, and he destroyed him, but he didn't kill him. He dug a hole a mile deep in the earth, and he threw the king into a pit. And then he put a big grate on the top, a few little holes, and every so often he throws a few bones down there to keep him alive. Now, from the perspective of the kingdom, does the evil old foolish king have any influence over the well-being of the king of goodness? No, he has no influence whatsoever. But does he exist? He does. He's there. And what is he doing in that, pit of his? He's that old crazy, laugh. He's plotting that old weird, spooky laugh to one day come out. But he's in the ground. He's done. Forget about him. He's finished. But does he exist in the reality of the kingdom? Yes, he's there. but he has no effect. The Zohar is explaining now that tzaddik v'tovlo, the tzaddik v'raloi, means that there's a tzaddik and there's ra, but it's loy. He owns it. He didn't destroy it, he pinned it, he squished it, it's in the ground, it has no influence. So then what's the difference between the tzaddik v'tovlo? The tzaddik v'tovlo means the yetzer hara, the evil inclination, became good. He was makar of him. He mamish brought him over to the good side. He was able to flip the greatest enemy into the greatest servant. And not only is he not locked on the ground, he's the king's greatest advisor in the most amazing way. A person can actually get to that level that even his evil inclination becomes his greatest ally and only wants to do the will of the good king in the soul. That's a very high level. Practically, now let's just take it back down to earth. We'll end with this. Practically, does the tzaddik v'raloi and the tzaddik v'tovloi ever do they look different on the surface? No, they both do mitzvahs all the time. The only difference is that tzaddik v'raloi, there's a ra, but you don't even see it. It's hiding in the ground. There's still a wicked part of him, but it has no influence. And the tzaddik v'tovloi, it's completely gone. It actually got transformed into good.
What's an example of that?
That a person actually makes his yetzer hara, King David did this, into his ally. That would be, Abraham did this, Isaac, Jacob, that would be a case that your body actually becomes a chariot for Hashem, and not only does your soul want to do what Hashem wants, your body even wants to. And your body is pretty jacked, right? If you get your body, it's like, how far can you get? The soul is compared to the rider, the body is compared to the stallion. How far can the rider get without his stallion?
No, too far.
He can go places, but what can you do with a stallion? You can do a lot more. You're a boss with a stallion. And therefore, if you can horse whisper the stallion enough to actually make it do the will of the rider, you're the champion. You're the ultimate king. To be continued. Rabbi Yisrael, everyone should have a wonderful day. Call to.